Hey everyone, thinking about switching gears in your career,
Yeah,
or maybe just curious about how the academic world is evolving.
always evolving.
Well, today we're diving into a really interesting job posting I found on academicjobs.com.
Oh, yeah.
It's a site that's basically a hub for anyone looking to recruit or be recruited in higher education.
I've heard of it. Their mission statement is transform academic recruitment.
Yeah, pretty ambitious, right?
Yeah,
But let's see what that actually looks like in practice.
I'm all ears.
So the specific position that caught my eye, HR Recruitment Relationship Manager for Australia and New Zealand.
That sounds like a pretty impactful role.
Yeah. And it's not just about filling out paperwork. This seems like a chance to really make a difference in how universities find the best people.
Interesting. What kind of details does the job description give?
What talks about building relationships with universities across both countries, driving sales, and managing job advertising.
Hmm.
What kind of person do you think could juggle all of those things?
Well, you'd need someone who's both a consultant and a relationship builder.
I see. Someone who can connect with people, but also understands the ins and outs of different universities and their needs.
Exactly. It's really about seeing where the needs of a university align with someone's career goals and aspirations.
Like matchmaking.
No way.
Now, the job posting also stresses exceptional communication skills.
Yeah.
That seems pretty broad.
Very true.
What would that look like day to day in this kind of role?
Well, think about it. You might be dealing with a professor who is juggling a million things: research, teaching, committees. You need to be able to communicate clearly and quickly and tailor your message to each person you interact with.
So it's about being flexible and being able to read people.
Exactly. Plus, there will be some tough conversations that this person will need to navigate, like salary negotiations or maybe even having to say no to someone.
So diplomacy skills are a must-have.
Definitely.
Okay, so now let's look at what academicjobs.com is offering on their end.
Sounds good.
They mention flexible work arrangements, an impactful role, and a supportive environment. Those are all great things on paper, but what would that look like in this role?
Yeah. Flexible work arrangements. Who doesn't love that?
Exactly.
But I'm really curious what that would look like in this context. Remote flexibility, I imagine that means some mix of working from home and going into an office, which really points to a company that prioritizes trust and letting people get their work done in a way that works for them.
That's so important, especially these days.
Absolutely. An impactful role, that's another one that gets tossed around a lot. But how can we see this role making a real difference?
Yeah, what concrete examples can we point to?
Imagine helping a small university in New Zealand find a truly passionate teacher, someone who can help breathe new life into their science department.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe connecting a cutting-edge lab in Sydney with a geneticist who helps them discover something groundbreaking.
Yeah.
This role has the potential to facilitate those kinds of connections, which can have a huge impact on education and research.
Totally.
Pretty amazing.
Now, what about supportive environment? It's kind of a vague phrase.
For sure.
What does that translate to on a practical level?
Well, based on what we know about academicjobs.com and what's happening in the industry, it seems like they value open communication and a passion for higher education. I think in this kind of environment, you wouldn't just be working alongside colleagues. You'd be surrounded by people who are truly invested in what they're doing, making it a really motivating and positive place to work.
So it's more about being part of a team that is actually excited to be there.
Exactly.
That can make all the difference. But let's flip the script for a second. Every job has its challenges, right? What are some of the potential downsides here?
Oh, for sure. Nothing is perfect. I think the biggest hurdle here might be the pace of the work. Juggling clients, meeting deadlines, and adapting to new priorities, that can be a lot to handle.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially when you're dealing with people's careers and aspirations. There's definitely a lot of pressure to get things right.
Definitely. And this is a role where you're constantly interacting with people, so you need to be comfortable with that and able to handle a lot of different personalities.
Right. So you need to be outgoing and have great people skills.
Definitely. You gotta love working with people.
So it's a demanding role.
Yeah.
But for someone who's passionate about higher education and thrives on that energy, it seems like a really exciting opportunity.
Sure.
What do you think is especially unique about this position?
Well, something that really jumped out at me was that they encourage employees to contribute to the future of the website and even the business strategy.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not just about doing what you're told, it's about being a part of the company's evolution. They're looking for someone who can think strategically and isn't afraid to share their ideas.
That's a really good point. For people who want to feel like they're making a difference, that can be a huge draw. Speaking of making a difference, the posting mentions a salary of $100,000 pro rata. Now, I know pro rata can be a bit of a jargony term.
It is a bit confusing.
Can you explain what that means in this context?
Sure. Pro rata simply means the salary is adjusted based on how many hours you work. So if this were a part-time position, you would make a portion of that $100,000.
I see.
But even if it's part-time, it seems like a competitive salary, especially for a role with this much responsibility and flexibility. Plus, they highlight the potential for growth within the company.
So it's not just about making a difference, it's a solid career path with good earning potential.
Exactly.
Now, something else I noticed, they advertised it as a contract or permanent position.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
What do you think that means for people who might be interested?
It shows that they're flexible and willing to work with what people need. Some people might want to test the waters with a contract role before committing to something permanent,
Wow.
and others might want the security of a permanent job right away. The important thing is that academicjobs.com seems open to different options and finding the right fit for everyone.
That's great to hear. It makes it seem less like they're just trying to fill a position and more like they're looking for the right person to join their team.
Absolutely.
And speaking of the team, the posting talks about working with a passionate, collaborative team dedicated to excellence. What can you tell us about the culture at academicjobs.com based on that and your knowledge of the industry?
It's tough to say for sure without actually working there, but the language they use paints a pretty clear picture of a dynamic and forward-thinking company.
I see.
Transforming academic recruitment makes me think they're not afraid to innovate and push boundaries.
Right.
And when they talk about collaboration and dedication to excellence, it reinforces the idea that it's a team-oriented place where people are supported and encouraged to do their best.
It's about being part of something bigger, a team that's actually excited about the work.
Yeah, I think that can make all the difference when it comes to job satisfaction. You want to be surrounded by people who are passionate and engaged.
Definitely. Okay, so we've covered a lot, the responsibilities, the ideal candidate, the company culture, the perks.
We have.
But before we encourage all our listeners to apply, let's do a quick recap of what we've learned about this opportunity. What are the key takeaways?
I think the biggest takeaway is that this HR recruitment relationship manager position is a really diverse role. It involves understanding the needs of both universities and job seekers and bringing them together in a way that benefits everyone.
You need to be able to communicate effectively, understand the academic world, and build strong relationships.
Yeah. We saw that academicjobs.com is looking for someone who can think strategically and contribute to the company's growth, not just someone to check off boxes.
Exactly. And they offer flexible work arrangements, a supportive team environment, and the opportunity to have a real impact on higher education in Australia and New Zealand.
Plus, it seems like they offer good earning potential and room for career advancement.
It's a very attractive package. I'm impressed.
Me too.
Now, the posting encourages people to reach out to the CEO directly, Jared Kanize, by phone or email. Any advice for someone who wants to make a good first impression?
Absolutely. Don't just send a generic email or make a quick phone call. Take the time to personalize your message and show that you've done your research. Highlight your skills and experience and explain why you're truly passionate about working in this field. Make it clear why you're interested in academicjobs.com specifically.
So show them you're a strategic thinker right from the start.
Exactly. You want to stand out from the crowd.
All right, one last question before we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready.
If you give one piece of advice to anyone considering applying for this role, what would it be?
This isn't just a job. It's a chance to have a real impact on higher education. If you're passionate about connecting talented people with institutions that are shaping the future, this could be a perfect fit. Don't be afraid to go for it. So we've talked about what academicjobs.com seems to be looking for in a candidate.
Right. This really passionate, driven person.
Exactly. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the job posting.
Okay, yeah, let's break it down.
There are some really specific responsibilities listed. Things like managing job advertising requirements, tracking performance, and driving sales through proactive communication.
A lot of different moving parts.
Definitely. It seems like this role needs someone who can think about the big picture, but also isn't afraid to get into the details.
That's a good point. You need to be organized and detail-oriented to manage all of that.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that this role seems to blend traditional sales and marketing skills with a deep knowledge of how academia works.
Right. It's not just about selling a product. It's about understanding the unique needs of universities and the people who work there.
And being able to speak the language of both administrators and the professors and researchers applying for these positions.
It's like being bilingual, but for higher education.
Exactly. Now, the posting also mentions proficiency in computer skills and familiarity with CRM tools.
Okay, so more than just knowing how to use email and spreadsheets.
Probably. Think about what this person would be doing, tracking how effective different job postings are, looking for trends, reporting back to universities.
Yeah.
They'd need to be comfortable analyzing data, interpreting those results, and maybe even using specific software designed for recruitment.
So it's not just about being good with computers. It's a specific skill set.
Absolutely. Familiarity with platforms like Salesforce or Zoho would be a big plus. Those are common CRM tools.
Okay, so data savvy and results oriented are key takeaways here. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the application process itself. They specifically encourage applicants to reach out to the CEO directly, Jared Canese.
Oh, interesting.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's a bold move. Reaching out directly shows initiative and that you're really interested. But it's important to do it right.
Yeah, you don't want to come across as unprepared or unprofessional.
Exactly. Don't just send a generic email. Do your research, personalize your message, and explain why you would be a good fit for their team. Make them see that you're thinking strategically.
Show them you're a step ahead.
Precisely.
Okay, listeners, let's quickly summarize what we've learned so far about this opportunity.
This HR recruitment relationship manager position is a lot more than just a sales job.
Right.
It's about being a consultant, a matchmaker, a data analyst, and a passionate advocate for higher education, all rolled into one.
Quite the combination.
We've seen that academicjobs.com is looking for someone who's a self-starter, strategic thinker, and someone who wants to be a part of a team and contribute to the company's success.
Exactly. And they're offering flexible work arrangements, a supportive team environment, and the chance to really make a difference in higher education in Australia and New Zealand.
And don't forget the potential for career growth and a competitive salary. There's a lot to be excited about.
Agreed. But before you start polishing your CV, we have one last thought to leave you with.
Okay, so picture this. You're at a dinner party and someone asks, what's the most exciting thing about working in academic recruitment? What would you say?
That's a good one. I think I'd say it's the fact that you get to connect brilliant people with institutions that are doing amazing things, like pushing the boundaries of knowledge or shaping the future.
Right. It's like being a facilitator, helping people find their purpose and make a real impact.
And then you get to see the ripple effect of those connections. The research that comes out of it, the students who are inspired, the way it benefits society as a whole.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's not just about filling a job. It's about contributing to something much bigger.
Definitely. It makes you realize the importance of the work. And it brings us back to this specific opportunity at academicjobs.com. It's not just a job. It's a chance to be a part of something meaningful.
It really is.
So if you're passionate about higher education, if you're the kind of person who thrives in a dynamic environment and you want to make a difference, we encourage you to check out the full job posting for the HR Recruitment Relationship Manager position on academicjobs.com.
You never know. You might be exactly who they're looking for.
Absolutely. And even if this specific role isn't the perfect fit, keep checking back. They're always posting new opportunities.
There's something for everyone.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep an eye out for that position that really sparks your interest.
It's out there.
That's a great note to end on. Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep diving deep.